So the PCE data came out higher than expected, meaning that inflation is still an issue. And naturally, Bitcoin dumped because of this. If we take a look at the Bitcoin chart here, let's get right into this video. First of all, what we can see is since yesterday's video, we have broken out of this rising wedge as we discussed on the channel. Now, the next immediate level of support is right around the monthly open at $84,000, which also coincides with the CME gap that we've been keeping a close eye on over the past couple days. Now, looking at a cleaner Bitcoin chart here, what we can see is that there's still a lot of volatility in both directions. Initially, we got that dump off the data as I reported on my X account, but now we are starting to consolidate a little bit higher. Let's see what happens ahead of the weekend. Usually the weekend is extremely illiquid and Bitcoin just kind of stays at the same level. But lately we've been seeing some announcements coming out from Trump on Sundays, which tends to move the price of Bitcoin drastically in both directions. So make sure you don't get surprised if we start to see some more volatility on Sunday ahead of the weekly close. Now, looking at Ethereum, we have to talk about this. What we can see is that Ethereum is now below $1,900, which coincides exactly with the spot ETFs for ETH. As we can see, consistent outflows. And on the day where you're not seeing any red, it wasn't any outflow, but it also wasn't any inflow, sitting right at zero. So this goes to show that the retails that are investing through these spot ETFs are simply not looking to get Ethereum. And if we look again at the ETH chart, what we can see here is that the point of control actually falls right around $1,600, which you'll remember a few weeks ago I discussed as my accumulation zone for Ethereum. So if ETH goes this low and potentially goes lower, this is when I would start dollar cost averaging with my spot position. Now, in terms of trading Bitcoin, what I would be looking at here once again would be to tap into this monthly open and fill the CME gap. That would be the first level of support. However, if this level does not hold, I do think that we will ultimately resort lower, because taking a look at the Bitcoin chart on, say, a monthly time frame, this is why I always say to zoom out. It simply does not look good. If I zoom out, this is the smallest of smallest green candles. And if we are to close the month potentially red, I would expect further downside for Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market, targeting this range that we established last year. Now, this was the most important level that we've been discussing on the channel for the past few weeks, around $72,000, $73,000. If we end up coming back down here and we cannot hold this as support, that is when I would tell you that the cycle is over. But until then, it is still entirely realistic. Should we get a monthly close like this and we move lower, tap into this level, hold it as support, and Bitcoin could still put in a new all-time high. But in the immediate term, what you want to look for is this key level. As always, if you'd like to trade Bitcoin and any other cryptocurrencies, make sure to check out the first two links in my description down below. The first one brings you directly to Weeks, where you can get a 50% deposit bonus. That means that if you deposit up to $2,000, you can get $1,000 back for trading purposes. I also have a second exchange for some of you if you're not looking to use Weeks, and that would be BidFi, where you also get a 15% cash back. Both of these exchanges actually allow you to sign up with just an email and a password. And as always, I would tend to recommend using multiple exchanges just to protect yourself when it comes to trading cryptocurrencies. And something else I need to talk about once again is Bitcoin dominance. As we can see, this weekly close is looking as bullish as ever. And I've been talking about this on the channel for a very, very long time, even before this wick. We've been covering Bitcoin dominance since back here, closer to 50%. Now, I still firmly believe with the current monetary policy and how the economy is looking overall, Bitcoin dominance will continue to increase. We will be filling this wick and we will be putting in a new all-time high on the weekly and monthly charts. So keep your eyes out for that. Altcoins are definitely not the play for holding spot bags. Obviously, I've been trading them, shorting some of them within the Discord with the community. But aside from that, I'm not holding many altcoins because I think that Bitcoin dominance could definitely continue to increase. Bitcoin gives you the highest risk-adjusted returns, especially if you're holding spot. Always remember that. Bitcoin is king. Now, if we take a look at some more bullish news, what we can see is that the SEC did end its investigation into Crypto.com, closed with no action being taken against the company. This is bullish because we've been seeing the SEC kind of taking a step back and closing all of their investigations. Medium to long term, guys, this cabinet is super bullish for crypto, and I can't emphasize that enough, despite the negative recent price action. And while we're talking about the long term, I do want to share this chart with you, which shows the yearly candles for Bitcoin. Now, this would suggest that this year will be a positive yearly candle for Bitcoin, as we have seen every single post-halving year. You can pause this video now and take a look at the bottom recoveries and up onlys. But what this would look like for Bitcoin at the moment would be to close the year above this blue line over here, which marks the yearly open, $93,000. I firmly believe that this will be the case. In the meantime, we have to talk about stocks because they're heavily correlated with Bitcoin. If I zoom in a little bit closer, the 200-day moving average is acting as resistance. And historically, when this happens, it's very negative for stocks. If we struggle to get back above this level, historically, when we fall below this level, it does see us go a little bit lower, and this would obviously impact the crypto market. But there are times in history where basically we tap in below the 200-day moving average and we can bounce back up. So perhaps this is one of those moments, or perhaps we can see some more drawdown for the stock market affecting crypto. And the last few things I wanted to go over ahead of the weekend. First of all, the consumer's perception of the economy continues to get worse. 27% of Americans expect business conditions to worsen over the next 6 months, the highest share since Q2 2022. This is even higher than 2020 and the second highest since the 2008 financial crisis. According to this, it's looking like things are about to get pretty scary in the market. Something else that we need to consider here, he became a meme. Jim Cramer came out and said that the market might be far healthier than we may think. This is definitely concerning because this guy usually marks the local tops and local bottoms. If you do the opposite of what this guy says, you usually end up profiting pretty well. And lastly, just zooming out and taking a look at the volume, what we can see is that the perpetual futures and spot volume has continuously decreased, which is not a positive sign in the market. Usually when we're about to see some uptrends, this tends to increase. This is not what we want to see. And to wrap up today's video, I'll get back to Bitcoin. You shouldn't be scared because you can profit trading this market whether we go up or down. In the immediate short term, as I said, what I'm looking at is this monthly open and the CME gap right around $84,000. If that cannot hold, because we're seeing that this orange range is now acting as resistance, then I would be expecting further downside for Bitcoin, potentially putting in a new low. So make sure you're cautious here. Now, we just have to take what the market gives us and trade accordingly. For Ethereum, for example, as I said, I'm looking to accumulate at much lower levels for my spot bag. I don't believe Ethereum is dead. I do believe it will be bouncing back, but there's still some short-term pain to come, in my honest opinion. And that sums up today's video. The PCE data came out hotter than expected. Inflation is still not under control, which also means that quantitative easing is still a ways away, meaning that alts will likely continue to struggle against Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance will continue to increase regardless of the direction of Bitcoin USD. If you enjoyed today's quick market update, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.